Hi everyone, my name's Kevin Bradley, and I want to thank you for checking out episode 1 of Under Pressure. It's a talk show where I take some of the best grapplers in combat sports and I interview them during a live roll. It's like Hot Ones, made by the guy not smart enough to come up with Hot Ones. Today we'll be chatting with Emil Fischer, longtime Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu competitor, newly minted black belt, and coach out of Strong Style MMA in Cleveland, Ohio. Over the years, you might have read some of his articles at the Jiu-Jitsu Times, judged some of his controversial fashion choices, or marveled at his performances on stages like Fight to Win. Stick around till the end for a brief message, and don't forget to like and subscribe if you want to see the next episode. And that's all I got, folks. Enjoy the ride.
I'm Emil Fischer, and this is Under Pressure. Move. Fuck you.
So, Emil, how are you doing today?
I'm doing alright, except for this motherfucker. This fucking guy.
Oh, you don't like Silly Goose?
I mean, does anybody?
Well, I mean, you're his
Doesn't
sensei.
mean I like him.
Yeah. What made you want to take him under your wing?
The fact that he was actually showing up to competitions as a white belt and like didn't really give a shit about it not having a coach there. So it was like one of those things. I was like, you know what? This guy's in it. This guy's in it to win it.
Yeah. Well,
This guy's actually fucking trying.
well, he's got you. He's got you on top right now. You're going for the heel
Got him right
hook.
where I want him.
You got him right where you want him.
Mm-hmm. This is never working the cat, never working the street.
In a given week, how many heel hooks would you say you pull off?
Depends on the week. Some weeks like innumerable. Some weeks maybe one or two, depending on my mood.
Yeah.
Depends on who I'm rolling with that week.
Within
Depends on
a
what I'm getting ready for.
within a 10-minute time frame, how many times could you heel hook Josh LeDuc?
LeDuc?
Yeah.
Shit. I'd say like realistically speaking, maybe twice to 3 times. If that,
Okay.
maybe. I don't know.
It's a pretty big sign.
It depends on the role. Depends on what he's doing.
Okay.
If he's just trying to hold me down, then he's big and fat. You know what I mean?
All right. Well, let's
What I mean.
let's learn a little bit more about Emil the guy. Why don't you tell me a little bit about your childhood?
My childhood. What about it?
Well, are you from?
I'm from
Ohio?
Cleveland originally.
Okay.
Cleveland area. Place called Shaker Heights.
All right. Well, what was it like growing up there?
It was good. Really nice town.
Yeah. What were Mama and Papa Fischer? What's their deal?
They're both immigrants. My mom's from Venezuela. My dad's from Hungary. They met in Israel, and here I am.
What were they doing in Israel? Do you have some connection to Israel?
Yes, a lot of my family lives there, and they went to college there, or I want to say postgraduate school. They went there in Israel.
All right, now
I have a lot of family there.
Let's pause it real quick. You too, Darth. Now you've been mounted. I would love to know from your professional jiu-jitsu acumen, what's your number one priority when you found yourself in mount?
Not get submitted.
Okay.
Not get tapped. If I can avoid getting tapped out, I can win probably about 70% of the time.
All right.
70 to 80% from right here.
All right. Well, now you gotta tap him out, man.
Oh no! Oh, here's my arm! Here's my arm! Yeah. God damn it. As I was saying, before I was so rudely and carelessly and insensitively and traumatically interrupted.
Going back to Mama and Papa Fischer, how do they feel about jiu-jitsu?
I don't think they much like it.
I gotta know, did your love affair with bright colors and pastels, did that begin at a young age, or did you find it?
Found it probably in the last 5-6 years.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Was there an inciting incident, or you just felt like, I'm gonna mix it up a little bit?
So, I was training with this guy, tough purple belt, a bit smaller, and I think it was back when Pony Club Grappling Gear put out their Jessica rash guard. That's the original Mirakatsu designed unicorn rash guard. Much easier, thank you. Much less to worry about. So yeah, they put that out and this guy was like, hey, if anybody ever taps me out with that, I'm quitting. I'm like, okay. So I bought one of them just to fuck with them.
Oh, God.
And then from there, it just became my thing.
Now,
Hard, no, I'm sorry.
You're well known.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. No, I don't like it.
Now, you're pretty well known as a huge supporter of Mirkatsu.
I mean, he's a huge supporter of me, so you know.
Yeah. When did you get turned on to his artwork?
White belt.
Yeah?
Yeah. My first like jiu-jitsu related rash guard was the Honey Badger 2.0.
Oh, that's a good one. That went out of print like really fast.
I mean, when it comes to shit like that, it's generally limited run anyways.
Yeah, it's gotta be.
Yeah. This motherfucker.
Well, you mentioned white belt. Let's talk about white belt a little bit. What made you first throw on the gi? That's a standard question, but
So
I'm always interested in the answer.
I've been training off and on since the late 90s, and I wanted to do jiu-jitsu like for real, and like try to like come up through the ranks and all that good stuff. So when I moved back to Cleveland, there were some decent academies around here on my black belts, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna try to do this. I'm gonna try to do this. Oh no! Oh, he's got my arm.
You're in real danger. Be careful, Emil.
Right where I want. Welcome to the Viper's Nest. I believe it's called the Gorilla's House. This is where black belts go to die.
We have a new, watch out Nicky Rod, new black belt slave in the making right here.
I'm slaying black belt since white belt.
So when did you find your way to Strong Style?
2014.
Okay, so a huge chunk of time. What initially made you come here?
It was the last gym that I hadn't been banned from. That was within a reasonable driving distance from my house.
Well, what makes you get banned from gyms?
Hard heads and soft asses.
Now, you got people laughing on the mat right now. Is that a common occurrence?
Me getting people to laugh on the mat? Usually there's more tears than laughter, but I get an emotional reaction of some sort.
I gotta know, was young Emil as good at making people laugh as black belt Emil is?
I don't know that I'm good at making people laugh. I had about the same sense of humor as a toddler as I do now, you know?
Oh.
Give or take. I guess it's funnier when an adult does it than when a child. It's funnier and sadder. Oh no!
So you've been a staple in the competition scene for a good while now. What made you want to compete?
Honestly, it was the nerves that I experienced in my first competition. That realization that if I didn't get that under control, it would get me under control. Yep.
Hey Darth, we could swap someone out if you need a break.
It's okay, that wouldn't have worked in a BW3's bathroom
Oh, really?
on UFC Fight Night, so
Are you undefeated in Buffalo Wild Wings bathrooms?
for sure, yeah.
Well-
The more piss on the floor, the better, honestly.
He's not wrong.
Buffalo Wild Wings really should sponsor some tournament somewhere. I feel like
their
that.
bathroom.
The Buffalo Wild Wings Invitational.
Yeah.
It's almost as good as the potluck invitational concept that I had.
It's bathroom tile instead of a mat, you know. There's wings
Did I
on
ever
the
tell you
wall.
about the potluck invitational concept?
You can tell me about it as you're rolling, if you have time.
I mean, I might. So anyways, the concept is this. People receive...
Hey Darth, you just suffered a pretty grievous injury. How you feeling?
Feeling like I just rolled with Emil Fischer.
Yeah?
Yeah.
It's a big old kick in the dick, huh? You okay though?
Yeah, it's a big old kick in the left nut.
Ooh. All right.
It's in my lungs.
Well, luckily we got some other folks that we can have Emil roll with, so you just hang tight. And Emil, I think you should think about what you've done. This man is going to get married soon, and maybe wants to start a family. So we got to
better start kicking him in the dick more than Jesus Christ.
Exactly. You get those numbers up.
Hashtag shameful hopes.
All right, well, you've crippled your last opponent, so now we are subbing in Mr. Too Tall Joe Hacken of Buffalo United Martial Arts, and we can get this interview back on track. So he is so tall, it's tough to keep him in frame.
We're
this
about
is
the same
hilarious.
height.
I know, but you're sitting down a lot of it.
Hi. I'm taller now. You are.
All right, now we're going to get back to your background in a little bit, but I would love if you could walk us through the Burt Reynolds guard. I know there's a DVD out. Everyone should go check it out, but how did that come to be?
So, I was training with some of my buddies here. It's actually at Strong Style when it initially happened. And basically what I found was that some of these guys were smaller, weaker, and honestly, I felt like they were intimidated. So I started laying on my side just to give them an opportunity. And then some of them would try to take advantage, get squirrely with me. And what I would do is I would kind of use the position as an attacking position. And in doing so, I was generally able to kind of develop new pathways into submission. And so, as time progressed, the position developed. I was able to really come up with creative and fun ways to use it, both in training and competition.
Now, for the criminally unaware, why is it called the Burt Reynolds guard?
Because there's this Playgirl shoot from the 1960s or 70s with Burt Reynolds, where he's laying on a bearskin rug. If you just search Burt Reynolds on a bearskin rug, preferably in incognito mode.
It will be up on the screen somewhere.
Okay, that's fine. That's not unacceptable.
Side-by-side comparison.
That's not unacceptable. But yeah, basically it's a way to give the other person an albeit false sense of security and confidence.
Now, this is not your first time rolling with Mr. Hacken, is it?
No. Not even close. Not even close. I rolled with Joe a few times. Probably like 5 or 6. We stayed together at Nogi Worlds in 2019. It was fun.
Now, I think that's a really interesting part because, unfortunately, Emil, some people view you as a controversial figure.
Controversial?
For some reason.
Me?
No idea why.
I don't understand this. What are you talking about? Me? Controversial?
I mean, and you've had a long career. Do you think it's important to maintain and establish friendships despite some people not liking you?
Establish what?
Well, you've managed to establish some really cool friendships and relationships in jiu-jitsu. Do you think that's, some people find that, do you think it's harder given how polarizing you can be? Or?
I mean, when people get to know me, they realize that I am who I am. I'm very straightforward, very honest. That's it. Now, what are they going to say? No, he didn't just tell me the truth? I don't know.
This one might be a little philosophical, but do you ever feel like you've been motivated too much by ego in this sport?
If you're not motivated by ego, you're not going to get very far. That's just the reality. In training, you have to be motivated by, your desire to get better. But in competition, if you're not motivated by ego, good luck. Good luck.
So Emil Fischer calling out all of those death to ego posters in the jiu-jitsu community.
I mean, if you don't have ego, I think Dave Camarillo said it best. Ego's part of it. It's not about eliminating your ego, it's about checking it. You have to check your ego. You have to be aware of it. You have to have it under control. If you don't, you're doomed. Doomed, I said! Doomed. Oops.
Let's talk a little bit more about younger Emil before I forget. Were sports, well, because he's an interesting guy. I want to know about
Jiu-jitsu.
Well, yeah, so how...
Jiu-jitsu.
Just what?
Jiu-jitsu and wrestling.
Yeah, that. Did you have sports when you were a kid?
Jiu-jitsu?
Jiu-jitsu and wrestling.
Wrestling.
All right, how far in wrestling did you get?
I did 2 years in high school. I was a varsity 215, which was bullshit because I only weighed like 170. Thanks, Charlie Morgan! That coach. He's actually, interestingly enough, my high school wrestling coach. Now I think coaches an American top team somewhere.
Okay. Well, I think that's interesting just because we know that, like, aside from jiu-jitsu, catch wrestling is another big part of your game.
Catch can.
Could you talk a little bit about your relationship to catch wrestling specifically?
So, my grandfather was a catch wrestler. My dad, I used to train with my dad back when I was a kid, and a lot of his pathos and ethos in grappling was that of a catch wrestler. The concept of, oh, I squeeze your head. Oh, I don't squeeze hard enough. Maybe I squeeze harder. Maybe I go ahead, squeeze harder. That was the concept. That was how he rolled. So you just got a hold of your head and then crank as hard as you could.
Are there any other?
That was like when I was 14 when I started doing grappling. So
just grapple him, squeeze. Anything below the neck?
Anything below the fucking hairline, you know? Anything below like the top of the head. It's just neck.
Was that style of training where you first found leg attacks?
No, I started doing leg attacks in 2013. I was training, and I saw a gentleman by the name of Joe Bays. I saw him compete, and I was like, this is a thing you can do? You can just get under people and fucking disrupt their base and then take their leg off, and that's a way to win? Holy shit, I've been doing this all wrong. Like, not even fucking joking. That was how I discovered it. I saw Joe Bays compete against Josh Souter at the OGC. You can look it up on YouTube. Great match. You actually see my coaches in the background, or one of my coaches in the background watching the match as it's happening.
Do you remember what year abouts this was?
2013.
2013.
Maybe 2012 or 13.
So with how much the game has changed to adopt more leg attacks, and that's become a huge pillar of a lot of people's game, do you think we owe anything to catch wrestling, or?
I think we owe something to everything that popularized leg locks. And I think that, like, if you look at a lot of JMMA back in the 90s, a lot of those guys were heavily influenced by catch. The guys that were actually doing leg locks. You know, you look at Ken and Frank Shamrock, the first submission in the UFC was Ken Shamrock hitting a heel hook.
Well, I think that's a really natural segue. For a lot of people, jiu-jitsu merely provides a base or is another lesson for MMA. Did you ever catch the MMA bug?
I mean, I did striking the majority of my life. Like I've probably done striking more than I've done jiu-jitsu. But I'm sorry, it's a shit sport. The athletes, the fighters are amazing people. I'm not talking shit about fighters. The sport, the way the sport treats the athletes is fucking garbage. The way the UFC treats its fighters, dog shit.
Do you think there's anyone doing it right, like ONE FC or Bellator?
I don't know enough about it, to be honest with you. All I know is what I hear from my friends and training partners and what I see in the news. That's all I know. And I mean, obviously, I train in MMA gym. MMA built this place. So I'm not talking shit about MMA as a sport. I'm talking shit about, like, MMA organizations, the UFC, the way that they treat their athletes. It's bullshit. It's fucking bullshit.
Now, do you think there's anything, as professional jiu-jitsu continues to grow at a much slower pace, but it's steadily, we're finding more promotions. Do you think there's any lessons they could take in terms of athlete comp and other things that worry you?
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. Based on the nature of jiu-jitsu as a competitive sport, it's way safer than MMA. The kinds of grievous injuries that jiu-jitsu athletes suffer are generally as a result of choosing not to tap, not as a result of, like, getting hit in the head and then getting fucked. So it can be a way more relaxed situation because the fact that there's less likelihood of grievous injury. That's all.
We've seen a ton of MMA, jiu-jitsu specific promotions come and go. Metamoris, Polaris, Quintet. You're currently a massive figure in Fight to Win. Which jiu-jitsu specific promotion do you think is doing the best job at bringing the sport forward?
I mean, here's the problem. I think that the ones that could be are fucking held back by flow grappling. That's what I think. I think flow grappling is a fucking predatory organization that is not doing good things for the sport in general. I think they got some guys in there that are doing a decent job. But like, at the end of the day, I think that as long as the highest level shit in the sport is hidden behind the paywall, we're not gonna be able to popularize it as well. That's my opinion.
Now, Emil, I know we could go on for a while about this, but Flow is not they're not the biggest Emil Fischer fans. Why do you think that is?
I don't know. I have no idea. I think Howell Teague doesn't like that I called him out in Jiu-Jitsu Times for scamming the Jiu-Jitsu community. I think that was like part of it. I think Ricardo Amendolia doesn't like the fact that I call him out on Reddit for using footage that doesn't belong to him on his YouTube channel, considering who he works for. But at the end of the day, I don't know, man. Like, I gotta be honest, I like Mike Sears. I think Sears is a good figure, and I hope that more people like him keep coming up and doing what they can do to help, like, for real.
Well, the documentaries are definitely doing a really good job of highlighting some members of the community. But in terms of those figures within the jiu-jitsu space, your coworkers, as it were, do you have any professional like grappling athletes that you think of as your favorite? Like, who do you like right now?
Who do I like right now? Emil Fischer. No, I mean, I really enjoy watching Dante Leone. I think he's remarkable, and I think that he, when he's on point, is unstoppable, honestly. And on top of that, like, I like him as a person, so that helps. But so there's him. I think that pretty much anybody that's looking for the finish. I think Victor Hugo is doing really cool stuff. I think William Tackett and the Tackett brothers in general are really cool. Anybody that's like looking for the finish. Anybody that's out here finishing people. Honestly.
I'm gonna get personal for a second and just shout out Wiltsy, just because I fucking love watching that guy compete.
Yeah, Wiltsy's great. Wiltsy, Couch, that whole crew, man. The Daisy Fresh crew are amazing. Yeah. I don't know.
Now, we know who you like in terms of watching their matches and think they're good. Are there any matches you're currently looking for?
So, actually, I got a pretty big match coming up that I haven't really announced yet. I'm gonna be going against Ryan Quinn, Pizza Jitsu.
Oh, wow.
That's an exciting matchup for me.
Yeah.
That was one that I was looking for a while, honestly. That was one that I was looking for a while. He accepted it, thankfully, and I'll be doing it on the SOGI Invitational on October 2nd. I've also got a match coming up at Spirit 313's Grapple in the Temple event. Going against John Toth. He's a Detroit Jiu-Jitsu OG. Going against him. It's on a card. I think the headliner is Garmo versus Mateusz Diniz. Gonna be a good card.
All right, well, Emil, you and Joe put on a freaking clinic. Thank you so much. And I just got one question left that I'd love to ask you. We know leg locks were a huge game changer for jiu-jitsu. It's a necessary part of the sport that a lot of people ignored for a long time. Do you think there's any other sea changes in the games of
wrestling?
Wrestling, really?
Wrestling. I think wrestling is becoming increasingly important. You look at the Rotolo brothers, look at William Tackett, you look at Wagner Christ. got all these guys that are using wrestling to win shit.
All right, Emil Fischer says it here first, guys. Don't skip out on wrestling practice.
I mean, I do, but I'm not saying that I do it. I'm just saying it's a thing that people do, and that I think it's important to at least be aware of it and be capable of defending against it and dealing with it, because I think that the more important ADCC becomes and the more important the fight to win rule set becomes, the more wrestling becomes a thing. Want to get me with Doug?
Yeah, actually, we brought one more just in case Emil hit
I can keep going.
Joe in the dick. We got Doug Jitsu here from Buffalo United Martial Arts, wrestling savant, and man immune to time. He's 55 years old, folks. Look at all that. 55 years, not a scratch on him. Go sober.
Ironically, I know some guys in that age group that look younger than Doug.
Really?
You gotta hang out.
I'm just saying.
If you guys want to get professional wrestling with this, by the way, we're totally fine doing that.
I take less damage doing jiu-jitsu.
No! We got Emil Fischer. Is he gonna pull donkey guard?
No. Fine.
Emil Fischer trying that kid on the playground guard.
Fine. If that's what you want, I guess that's what we're gonna do.
Oh my gosh.
Oh no. Oh boy. Whoa.
All right. Emil Fischer, Strong Style MMA, BJJ black belt. We're going to be signing off here. Emil, any closing messages to the crowd?
Hey, stop being so shitty.
So that was the episode. Unfortunately, as payment, I now got to get my ass kicked because I was just the cameraman and a lot of other people got their ass kicked in front of me while I just got to sit there and do nothing. So we suffer for the art. Emil, let's go.
No.
Look, I'm not gonna lie. It's almost a month later and my back still hurts. But ignore that. Thank you for checking out episode 1. We're always looking to improve, so any suggestions or criticisms are more than welcome in the comments. Just be respectful and don't come after my hairline too hard. I cry enough as it is. All the props in the world to the man himself, Emil Fischer, for the time and conversation. I've worked alongside you for a minute now, and I appreciate getting to pierce the technicolored veil you keep up at all times. Mark your calendars for his upcoming match against
To be determined.
at SOGI on October 3rd. Link in the description for more info. And a huge shout out to my guys Joe Hacken and Doug Meister for immediately agreeing to drive with me from Buffalo to Ohio on a weekend just to get beat up by a maniac while I film them. You two are absolute studs and my first call whenever I need another human meat shield. Big ups to Buffalo United Martial Arts for training Joe and Doug into jiu-jitsu machines, and to Strong Style MMA for the hospitable welcome. Special thanks to the man responsible for the absolute banger you're listening to in the background right now, Chris Noonan. He publishes all of his music as Jagga the Wise on Spotify and iTunes. Go check out all of his stuff. He just put out a new album, Slow Hondas. It's an absolute delight. Go check it out. Link for all of his stuff can be found down below in the description. And finally, we must honor the sacrifices made by one John Varro, aka Darth Sillygoose, during the making of this video. There's no real justice for what happened to you, John, only the potential thought that it might happen to Emil one day, because jiu-jitsu is a dangerous game and sometimes that happens. Hopefully your brand spanking new purple belt will soften the blow of this terrible affront. And a quick reminder to all of our viewers, please protect your pills. I really appreciate your time and attention, and I hope we see you around on the next edition of Under Pressure.